Set.
We are live to go. Waiting for Junior to get his going on the interweb. So I'll just sit here and ramble on our GarageBand speaker.
We're set.
We're set. We're live. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hot Podcast. 5:30 every Thursday. You can catch us on all your podcast favorite shows, channels. You can get a lot of our information here on fedupwithpolitics.com, the Hot Podcast Facebook, blah 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 blah, about 1,000 other ways. All right, let's stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, folks, as you can see, my brother Mike's here. Dennis is not.
Hello.
Dennis is down in Florida. He's visiting his mom, Mrs. Gravel. I hope you're feeling well. And Dennis, travel safe there and back. So that's that. And if I was a U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, we would probably start this show off with, "Good night, folks!"
Nice knowing you.
But we're not, so we won't do that. That's a low blow. So we're gonna get started. I wanted to. I had two quotes from the American Constitution: Its Origins and Development. First one is this government has to go back to a government of laws, not men. And it also said that free men can solve the problems of modern society under process of law and without resort to tyranny. All right? So basically the reason why this show is what it's doing is because of these hacks and these tyrants in Washington, D.C. They are not respecting the American people's wishes, and it's not right. We pay their salaries, as we always say, and we need to start getting a better politician in office.
Yeah.
We need to start getting folks in there that understand state rights, because there are not a lot of state rights. And listen, me and Dennis are trying to get the Independent Constitutional Party on the ballot in South Carolina. Obviously, we're going to start with this district we're running for in legislature. My name's going to be on the ballot, but it's me and Dennis plan to do this. And we'll grow it in the state as like a microbrewery and get it grown that way, and eventually, hopefully, through the United States, through like that, everybody under the same canopy of minor parties, to start taking back these tyrants. They're going into office with so much money. When you watch the news, and this is why I was bringing it up, I was watching the news today, and they had the Republican advisor. They have so many different GOP, national this, that. So this is a bigwig that works for the GOP, another paycheck that your donations go to. And it goes back to like what me and Dennis were saying. These politicians are passing these gigantic bills of hundreds and millions and billions of dollars, and it's going back to them through donations of the special interest that they're passing these bills for. And it has to stop. And that's why, at first, when we were thinking about running for office, Russell Fry was running for a spot against another Republican, and I thought that would have been the perfect thing. They're going to go against each other in the primaries. We could slip in. But Dennis and Margaret, our sister Margaret, was like, nah, it's really got to start on the state level. And I was trying to think, why would it have to be let's start at the top. We're doing something big here. But as you look through it, you know, the states have to start coming together and start passing these state laws against their U.S. representatives in the Senate and the House. You know what I'm saying? Like, start saying, listen, you're not allowed to run for U.S. Senate, 40 people in South Carolina, unless every single dollar is donated to you from South Carolina.
Right, and nowhere else.
Right. We don't want a representative in the Senate, somebody representing me, that owes somebody that owns a company in California.
Yeah.
So, enough of that. And whatever's in your coffer for that, put in your state treasury so that your state can get some roads done. And if you start getting clean slates like that, bing, 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 you know, then they're not going to want to stay in office very much.
That's exactly right. You can't make it so profitable for them that they never want to leave.
Yeah, well, you know, it's easy work. It's corruptible. And
millions and millions of dollars.
yeah, they're all worth so much money. And I'm going to get into that a little later. Remind me, folks, I got to go back to these guys being worth millions and millions of dollars. But on the state level, we can start controlling Washington, D.C. greater than we believe, but greater than I believed. Again, you know, we were talking about how the Republicans might have been able to win the Senate had they known the Constitution and said, hey, listen, they're not allowed to say how we set up our voting for senators, only representatives and the president. So they could have had where you couldn't mail in ballots for the Senate.
Yeah, because I believe that's how they're cheating.
Yeah. So, and then again, listen, if you're running for a district as a representative, well, then you're only allowed to take money out of that district. You're not allowed to take money from all over the world. Actually, they're going from all over the world. Because these companies that are getting these bills passed, they're worldwide companies.
Yep.
So it is coming from, you know, people say there's no foreign money coming into this government. Hey, bet your ass it is.
Yeah.
And not just the illegal way like the Bidens are doing.
Yeah.
And the Clintons. And I'm sure every other politician.
Well, that's what when I heard the news about they were getting outraged that they're pushing the Biden brand. Every politician uses their name, push their name. They push their name to get money. They're using their name to get money. All of them.
But they have nothing else to offer. Because they're not doing our work.
Right.
They're supposed to be doing our work, but they're not doing our work. They're supposed to be doing our work that we need done on the federal level. And they're not. And they're really, you know, the majority of I'm not a big numbers like Dennis is, and I got to start changing that a little bit. But you have these electric cars they're trying to go to, which, hey, listen, if it was to ever work that way, that's fine, so be it. But there is no other alternative in their eyes. Because why? Because they're the ones giving them the money. Because the majority of the people, and again, this is what I say, I'm not a numbers guy like Dennis, I should have took this number down. But the majority of Americans want a hybrid type vehicle. Kind of like our aunt and uncle has.
Yeah.
They got 52 miles to the gallon, they come visit us. 52 miles to the gallon, and the car runs. So when you're getting up to speed, it runs on fuel.
Right.
When you get up to speed and you're just cruising along, it switches back to battery. And every time it switches back to the motor, it charges them batteries.
Right.
So what's wrong with 52 miles to the gallon?
Is pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, you get onto the highway, you put it on cruise control of whatever the speed limit is or whatever you're going to plan on doing, and now it just switches back and forth from electric to fuel.
Yeah.
You know, and 52 miles a gallon later, you know, I mean, that's not too bad.
But they were all about the emissions.
Yeah, I mean, you go
Which is a
300
joke.
miles, though, that's 6 gallons of fuel.
And it's also a joke. Because we could have zero emissions, but if another country has more, we are not in a bubble. The emissions are still going up in the air.
Here's the problem with the emissions. I think it is actually impossible to measure
Yeah.
in a scale weigh, you know?
Yeah,
like,
they weigh it by tonnage.
right. I mean,
How?
right. I don't think there's an actual way to, I think that that's another scam
Yeah.
that they're showing us is, well, you're using this amount of tons of carbon. How do you know?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what, did you have some guy with a scale behind the jet plane as it flew off?
I want to know where the scale is.
Yeah, right. I mean, come on. What are we doing here, folks? You know, again, it's sucker after sucker after sucker. I'm surprised they haven't sold us the Brooklyn Bridge yet. You know, I mean, with the scams that they have going on at every turn,
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. You got anything?
It was this one I seen. I'm not sure what news they were showing during the pandemic, the epidemic, the COVID. People weren't driving, and they said that it got warmer because the carbon emissions weren't blocking the sun's rays. So, what is it?
Well, you don't know. And you want to know something? We won't know. Again, you know, just because I tell you this. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Dennis writes, the hard part is trying to show the people that tyrants on Washington don't have anything left to offer constitutions. If people don't see the gaslighting, then our job will point both parties have done to the people. It's time to stand up and stick together. We have said it before, a major party can't do any worse that we correctly have.
Yeah, good job, Jack. Very good job.
Thanks.
But it's true. You know, like these guys. I tell you, I don't know. Again, we say it over and over again, and like Dennis said, if you don't start seeing the gaslighting, we'll be able to keep selling books because people will keep buying them and not learning the lesson.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about the book, folks. I believe it was supposed to go to print. Maybe if Dennis has anything to say, he'll type it up and let us know. But you know, they are lying to us. They're not lying to us behind closed doors anymore. They're bringing their corruption to the front. They're telling us on the steps of Congress outside, like when AOC did the Green New Deal. They're letting us know we're doing this.
Whether you like it or not.
Right, we're going to do this, and they are taking our rights away. And you know, we say this a lot, but they're taking your rights away. And it used to be a slow veil, slowly taking it. But now they're now they're taking it away in chunks because they see the inactive of the American people that know what their rights were, what they grew up with, and how much different and fun it was. And to this generation now, that's just not being taught what their rights were. They could just grab it away real big. Go ahead, Jack.
Dennis writes, back at the editor, should be back to us in a few days.
Oh, the editor is
Yeah,
going to send us
the
back.
book.
Okay, so as far as the book goes, and we'll do this a little bit more smoothly, we also have a show at 7 o'clock on the Independent Constitutional...
No, United States Constitution.
United States Constitutional Group. So we had written the book, got it, you know, we kept, and then they sent it back, and we read through it page by page and found all the mistakes in it. And they were very small mistakes, like periods in the wrong place, we instead of, small things like that. And we went through and we got it changed. Dennis changed it on a computer and emailed it back. So it went back to the editor. And now I guess it's going to get sent back to us and then hopefully go to print after that and out into the streets.
Yeah, he said we'll be back to you guys in a few days.
Okay. So there's that. But Dennis is right. You know, if you just... As much as Congress is paralyzed by their greed and self-interest, I think the American people are paralyzed with inaction because they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. We're telling you folks what to do. What you got to do is get to these grassroots, form in under our canopy, start making millions of people count. Get your small group, grassroots growing in your own state like a microbrewery does. join into the bigger thing under a national canopy, and we all go in as numbers. And I tell you what, you're gonna see 485 people, 435 people start working real hard in Washington D.C. because they know their job's gonna be on the line. But the best way to do it is like like Dennis and Margaret said, and that's take over your state governments with these grassroots. Start explaining to these federal offices that they're running for that you're not allowed to bring foreign money out. And when I mean foreign money, I mean any money that's on the outside of the boundaries of this state.
Yeah.
You want to represent this state? Then you beg to this state.
Yep.
Go ahead, Jack.
Demonstrates get off their lazy ass and wake up and get involved in your community.
He's got to watch his language.
Yeah, come on, Dennis, I can't beat you from all the way down there.
Well, there was a Pelosi during the Obama era. They were trying to get the Obamacare put through, and somebody mentioned to Pelosi, 85% of the American people are against this. And she said, well, we know better than they do.
Yeah, she
And
said
that's their attitude right now.
those were the two things that she is going to go down in the, well, if we get back to America, she will go down in history for two statements she made. That one, number one, we know better. And number two is, we got to pass the bill to know what's in the bill.
Right.
Because if we get back to America, that has to be the huge beacon of light of how far America had gone the wrong way.
Yeah.
Where you literally had a politician whose job it was to make the laws of the land and say, well, we can't tell you what's in the bill until we pass the bill. Excuse me, but I believe your job was to write that bill.
Yeah.
So you should know verbatim, number one.
Well, first of all-
Number two, in the Constitution, it literally says that these bills should be simple, short, simple, and easy to understand.
Right. I think she knew exactly what's in the bill. She didn't want us to know what was in the bill.
Mike, how could she know what was in the 5,000-page bill? She knew what was in the bill that she wanted.
Well, she knew what was in the bill that they wanted too, whoever bought her. You give us this, we'll give you that.
That's what I mean.
And that's what she didn't want people to know about.
So, still staying on the line on corruption in politics. Next week, I'm really going to make it this week is what I'm going to do all week, is I'm going to start looking up the net wealth,
Of all of them?
no, of all we did it another time of what they used to do for a living, all the Senate leader, the majority, the speaker, the minority leader, the president, and the vice president. I'm gonna look it up. Go ahead, Jack.
Demonstrates did Junior shave this week?
No. Well, he tried to, but he was 2 steps away from the razor. My brother Mike didn't even try.
Nah, I couldn't find it.
The ceiling fan was on, his beard kept getting in his eyes. Plus, if you look at these Mr. Magoo glasses, you can't see anything out of the menu.
Oh, man, I can't see. I really gotta do something about that.
Yeah, it's cool. You know that little piggy bank thing that's on you. Break it, take the coins out, and go buy yourself a new pair of glasses.
Yeah, I gotta go to a doctor.
About half of your families explain to you how you can get cheap glasses on the interweb.
We did.
Yeah, I know. I just gotta get to the doctors. That's the problem.
Hello! I mean, we walk by them every time we go to Walmart.
Yeah, but they say you need an appointment now. I hate.
No, I don't think. I think you can walk right in and say,
You can.
in Walmart. There's never anybody there.
They have me caught all the time.
Come
when I go in
on.
there.
Yeah, because they're
Every
begging. They
excuse.
see you walking along and see
Every excuse.
this guy either needs a white cane or we need to get him in here and get glasses. Nobody can be walking around that. Anyway, take it easy, Mr. Magoo. All right. So what I'm going to try and do for next week. Next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at those politicians. Like, remember we did that podcast on what they did before they became.
Yeah, and you also did their salaries and what they got.
Well, we did that for everybody.
Yeah.
We did all of their salaries, not what they were making, like what their net worth. But I'm going to look at all their kids, because here's my problem. I'm watching this and I'm listening to what Hunter Biden's doing, which is wrong. He's selling access to his father, who was the vice president at the time, and now he's the president of the United States. And you know, he's corrupted.
Yeah.
The father.
Oh, yeah.
Biden is corrupted to the payments made to his son. I don't care if Biden didn't take one nickel.
He
But
allowed
his
it.
son made millions and tens of millions of dollars off of foreign interest because of the access of him.
Right.
Okay? So that's that. So what happened was, I was watching Larry Kudlow. Remember, I was saying it on maybe last week or the week before, and he was saying how Chuck Schumer's worth $75 million, Mitch McConnell's worth $30 million, and he said Liz Cheney is worth something like 40 or 44 million dollars. Now I don't think, now this is why I don't want to do it too much, but I don't think she was in office for that long, number one. Number two, I'm not really sure what she did before she got into office other than being born to her father, right? So that being said, what did she do that made her earn
$40 million.
$40 million or $44 million to be worth that much money? And I says to myself, I just found a very good topic for one of these podcasts. I'm going to start looking at, we can go on and on and on and on and on, but I'm going to look at these kids and see what those kids are worth. Because there was another one, it's funny because that's all these kids are. They're kids of powerful
politicians.
persons. You look at these movie stars and stuff like that. Very few of those kids of these movie stars are successful on their own. There's a few of them, don't get me wrong. But the majority of them, they're just my parents so-and-so.
Yeah.
And that's it.
They got the fancy clubs
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
You have to go here that way.
And you never see them ever go to work or
No.
anything. And, they're assistants to their parents or whatever it is. You know what? So I'm thinking, yeah, Hunter Biden's doing this. But I'm thinking, and what happened was there was a story maybe a year or two ago that came out. John Kerry's son was starting to hook up with Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden.
And then Hunter Biden apparently was crossing the line a little bit. He's like, good luck. I'm taking my father's money,
Whoa.
but I'm going. And again,
I don't want to go to jail.
John Kerry's son, John Kerry didn't make, I don't even know if it's his real son, but John Kerry's true wealth comes from his wife. His wife is a family of Hines. So they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars because of her ancestors making Heinz. So maybe this son was like, hey, Hunter, I don't really need that. My mom, my dad's okay, but my mom's the money.
Yeah.
So good luck in your ventures. But, if I
I'll call
really,
you don't call me.
if I really need to make as much money as you, I'll just ask my mom to raise my allowance. I'm gonna go that route. You go that way. But so there was a short time where Hunter Biden and John Kerry's son was, hand in hand going in. And then, I was thinking about when he said that Liz Cheney was worth $44 million. I said, well, you got Hunter Biden, you got John Kerry's son. You look at John McCain's kids. The one she's on TV now, but, so she's making her own money. But again, he married into money. John McCain's wife was very rich. So we're good, but Chuck Schumer, if he has any kids, Chuck Schumer never did anything for a living.
No.
And except politicians, and so I would like to see what their kids are worth. I'm going to look into that and see what kind of work they do. I'm sure none of them work at McDonald's or anything like that.
No. That's a good topic too, because isn't it somewhere where in Congress you're not allowed to what do you call that with the stocks?
Insider trading.
Inside trading. But the family is.
Yeah.
So somebody in the family is making them money, because it's going to get to them too. And I think that's a ridiculous law. I don't think they should be allowed to be invested in anything that they have a say in.
Yeah, none of them or their family. Nobody's sitting.
one.
Nobody's sitting. Even the staff members and stuff like that,
Right.
that are sitting on those bills, should be allowed to invest in any bill that's going to get passed
Right, that's a
In that-
conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Actually, it's
for that
breaking the
first
law.
year. And the only way you take care of that is like what me and Dennis were saying. These politicians have a special bank account that they invest all their money into. that gets the same return as
That's
the
the
stock.
the Wall Street, the average of the Wall Street. If it goes up 5%,
They get 5%. If it goes down,
This way, they're not influenced on any one particular stock. It's an average of all of the stocks,
well, not only that though, but they can't go run out and load up on.
or unload.
Yeah, I mean, look what they did to that stock for Tesla. I mean, Pelosi's husband went in there and spent millions of dollars, and it went from $100 a stock to $800 a
Yeah.
stock overnight because of one guy's investment, whose wife just so happened to be in the meeting with the president that said he's going to change all of the U.S. vehicles to electric.
And you can't do anything to her because she's right. It's not illegal. My family's allowed to invest in anything they want. I didn't invest in it. Plus, aren't we a capitalist? I love when they push that word capitalism when it involves them making money. Anybody else though?
By the way, Dennis, I grabbed the water off of you, number one. And number two, just give Jack a little chat, see if you think that's a good idea to look at these kids. See if I think they're all making a lot of money off of their parents.
Yeah, so do I.
They're selling their parents' brand, and they're getting a piece of the pie. You know, they're out there.
Well, they're not hurting in any way. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's some like Mitch McConnell. His wife is the moneymaker. You know, her family owns a shipping company, but he's worth $30 million. So, you know, again, his kids. But you know, maybe we'll do it as a random thing. We'll look at it. Go ahead, Jack.
Dennis says, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I'm sure you're out there. We'll check it. We'll just see what they're doing for a living.
Yeah.
And
maybe if they do work at McDonald's, we could ask them, how'd you get $20 million making $19 an hour?
And that was another thing. You know, that's how I'm going to get into this last segment of mine. I was watching a thing where Congress is looking to change minimum wage to $15 to $18 an hour.
Yeah.
And what infuriates me about it is it is government's way again of pushing mediocrity. You know, we're gonna leave it. Be happy with your minimum wage. You know, minimum wage is for people. It's almost like a child labor law. You know, because people that are making minimum wage are kids.
Yeah.
They're not grown-ups raising a family.
They're not making this for their life career.
And even if you say, okay, maybe it was somebody that was incarcerated, back out, but it's still a teaching model. This is teaching you how to get back into society, earn your paycheck, and start going. There's other different avenues for that. And, you know, maybe that is a fault in there. Maybe there is a crack in there that we have to do. Go ahead, Jack.
This Edward, the government is out of control.
Yeah, that's true. So, you know, $7.25 minimum wage. If you're a teenage kid living at home, well, that's fine. Mm-hmm. You know, because in a real home, what you should be doing is, as a teenager, you should be going back and forth to work, making that minimum wage, understanding what a good boss is and what a bad boss is.
Yeah.
What a good coworker is and what a bad coworker is. What hard work is and what hard work isn't. Coming home and giving your parents half your paycheck to pay for your dinner and your clothes, you know, you don't realize it, but yeah, okay, so you pay your parents half of your, let's say you're making $75, you're making $35, whatever it is, you get to keep, you give it to your parents. Well, your clothes are not only are you getting done, but they're being folded and put on your mattress so you can put them away. Dinner's cooked.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
You know, your school books are done, your clothes for school are done, and you can take this $35 and do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And it's not for a guy like me trying to raise 4 kids living on minimum wage.
Right.
You know, and these schools teach that. I went to a class, and this teacher was a super liberal, like they all are. It was some kind of psychology class, and she broke up the class in teams of 4, and she wanted to have everybody, each group, make 2 budgets. One for making $25,000 a year, and one for making $225,000 a year. Go ahead, Jack.
Ever since time has changed.
Yeah, it sure has. Time to change it back, though.
Yeah.
So we had these groups of 4, so I had these 3 kids with me. Now this is college level school. I have a professor. She introduced herself as Professor So-and-so, who said, and don't forget, you know, because she's trying to show how hard it is to live in America, you know, with this capitalist, you $25,000. And she says, you know, don't forget to put your taxes in on that $25,000. So I said, well, if you're making $25,000 a year, you're not paying taxes. Oh, yes, you are. I go, no, you're not.
You're not.
She goes, well, everybody pays taxes. I go, there's tax brackets. Oh, this is the same teacher that told me her father had to teach her how to write a check so she could buy her own house. So she ends up, okay, don't take the taxes out. So the group I was with, they were like, I want to start off with the $250,000 paycheck. What's up, Jack?
Dennis Rice, can we talk about recent comments from Trump about saying I could relax at Margot or the south of France, which I prefer being in this country frequently? What do you think the new twist, what he said?
I didn't see him say that.
Yeah,
He was saying he could relax at Mar-a-Lago or France,
Yeah,
And
South France.
What's
South of France. But he'd rather stay in America?
Yeah.
Well, I think here's a guy that can live anywhere he wants in the world, and he knows that this is the United States, is the best country in the world still,
Yeah.
and should be even better.
Could be a lot better.
But yeah, I didn't hear that statement. But you know, I mean, I don't think he would ever tuck and run anywhere. I think he's going to stay. I mean, he owns property all over the world. He owns golf courses in Scotland and Ireland. Might even be in England. Go ahead.
That's not the way it reads.
I don't know. I didn't see. I wouldn't be able to mention. Like, he thinks it's a good idea to go move out of the United States.
He didn't say.
I don't know. I didn't see that report, unfortunately. But if he wants, I can call him. We can put him on speakerphone. See if he
The
calls me back.
way it was put, it rather be he would rather be in France.
I don't know.
Trump said that?
I guess so.
I guess so. I don't know. I didn't see that report. I'll have to keep my eye out on it.
Maybe because he could stay out of jail in France.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I
I
mean,
mean, these people here, it's relentless what they're doing to this man.
Yeah.
well, you know, there's that guy, Matt Gaetz from Florida. I don't know if they could do it, but he was saying that he would like to have Trump testify in front of Congress and give him immunity for his testimony. And then he wouldn't have to, you know, so then he would have immunity.
Be
in the
all
courts.
over.
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
Edward says America used to be the greatest place on earth because of all the stupidness that is going on. It's no longer a safe place.
Well, I mean, that's true, but we can't give up on it. It's still better,
That's true.
but it should be a lot better. It should be a lot freer.
Well,
But
people
people
gotta
are willing to
realize we can change it.
Did you see that report with Matt Gaetz, though? He said Congress...
No, but that's a good idea.
I don't know if it could work, though. Because for him to get complete immunity, he would need a supermajority in Congress. And
He doesn't.
they wouldn't have that. I don't think anybody would do that.
No.
But it would be interesting to...
So have to find
But I tell you the
Republicans.
truth, though. I mean, Congress doesn't have to be funding these prosecutions. You know, they could be, like, pulling funding on that. Go ahead, Jack.
Dennis writes, if this is another reason for getting away from MSN.
Oh, hold on a minute. Here's Dennis now. Boop, 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 boop. Hello?
Hey, Jack, Dennis.
Yeah, I didn't see that report, Dennis. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dennis. Of course, it was on Yahoo. And then the Huffington Post. Because he hates America. Trump's running for Congress now during the seasons, I think, is the best way to put it. He said this week that he could be a judge in south of France rather than being in the U.S. What I'm asking you is, do you think the media twisted what he was saying to make it look bad? And if they did, this is another reason not to trust mainstream media.
Well, the Huffington Post is a very liberal media outlet, if I remember right. So I would agree with that the media is twisting it. And if the Huffington Post is what I think it is, I would even go so far to say that they're not even twisting what he said, that he didn't even say anything. He
Yeah.
just made it up.
They just made it up.
I mean, the Huffington Post is a left-leaning media outlet, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like MSNBC saying it. I mean, if something else had said it,
But that's where I always say that people should stop watching mainstream media, including Fox News and Newsmax, as well as these liberal ones, because they all twist what politicians say.
well, I tell you the truth.
They take out words, they put in words, they put a comma here where it shouldn't be, to make each person look bad.
Yeah. And you know, Dennis, like we always say so often, like if you wanted to watch the news, you can watch the news, but you can also, what you're about to watch, there's a topic that's piquing your interest that you want to see on the news, right? So you're like, well, I want to see what's being said about this in the news. But the thing of it is there's so much things out there, so many different avenues to go. You can literally print out exactly what let's say it's the fires in Hawaii. Wow, what's going on with Hawaii? You can literally print out in Hawaii what started that fire, why it continued to go down that way, what was the work being done on Hawaii to clean out the underbrush in there. Was it necessary to get this fed? We understand it was a hurricane, which, by the way, everybody in Hawaii, God bless you and Godspeed. But like you and I say all the time, Dennis, look it up, print it out, read it, and then you can see what these guys are saying. Because, like you say, Dennis.
In our society, you need to have two TVs in front of you.
Yeah.
One liberal, one conservative news.
And have to.
Okay, this was lying, that one's lying. Let me make my own decision on what actually it said.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier now because you can print out. I mean, like last week, we printed out the indictment for Trump.
Yeah.
45 pages long. And it was perfectly in layman's term. Yeah, there was some legalities in there. But again, if you see something you don't understand as far as the legality goes, you go back to the computer and you ask, what's the definition of this?
But not everything you read on a computer is true.
Huh?
Not everything you read on a computer is true. Make sure people know that.
Yeah, well, if you're going to
You have
start
to do research.
Well, now, you have to get the exact what you're looking at. I mean, again, maybe this is a bad example of the Trump indictment. That's an official document of it. But, it would take a lot more research to figure out the fire in Hawaii.
Yeah, but they have official documents too. People who are fighting that fire.
Huh?
I'm going to hang up now. You guys do a good job.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Tell your mom I feel good.
All right, bye.
All right. But, I mean, it is exactly right. If you want to know what's going on in the world and the news, find that topic, print out the official what's going to be
That's
there.
right.
Like when we were discussing the 2020 elections, Dennis had looked up what the exact number was. Well, we knew what they're saying that Trump got 75 million, Biden got 81 million. You add that up, then he looks on the official website of the United States for the election, and it says, 160 million, whatever the number was, eligible voters in America. Well, you're saying there's over 150 something million Americans that vote. I mean, look these things up, and then, that's
Use
what
your common sense.
that's what gets mad for, especially, this is what Dennis is saying. This is what's infuriating. Yeah, I'm listening to Fox and Newsmax. They're right-leaning, and they're saying this about that election. MSNBC, CNN, and these other ones, they're saying this about the election, and that's the agenda they're pushing. But neither one of them are saying, even if you think it's more to the right's argument, listen, do the math, folks. Here's how many people they're saying voted, and here's the amount that were eligible.
Right.
Now, when did we ever have this higher percentage in an election in the history of America? Again, if you're going to listen to these people on the radio, on TV, they're pitching their paycheck to you. And these politicians are in their $3,000 suits pitching their paychecks. Everybody's selling their brand. They want to put Hunter Biden in jail for selling the family brand. And I'm telling you, next week when we start looking at what these other kids are worth,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
They-
going
like I
all
told
over
you,
Washington D.C.
They're all selling their name brand. All of them are.
including the news.
Including the news, because they're owned, these networks are owned by billionaires. If you're getting paid a couple of $100,000 a year to tell the news, are you gonna do what the news says, or are you gonna do what that billionaire is paying you
Yeah.
to do? If he says to do this, that's what you're gonna do.
All right, Mike. Say the prayer.
All right.
You got anything left, Jack? No?
I'm gonna do from the Bible. I'm gonna do the gospel. First, I want to just say, Lord, please be with these poor people in Maui. Please protect the ones that are there, and please be with the families that lost loved ones. And I'm going to tell you the gospel. It's on 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preach unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye have believed in vain. For I deliver unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he rose, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. That's the gospel. Now I'm going to say my favorite prayer, which is in 1 Timothy chapter 2, 1 through 6. I exhort therefore that first of all supplications, prayers, intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of God our Savior, who will have all men to be saved, and to come unto the knowledge of the truth. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus, who gave himself a ransom for all, to be testified in due time. Amen.
Amen. All right, good job. So everybody, have a good weekend. Start doing your own research. Find out the information for yourself on what's bothering you. Don't listen to the selling of brands. Don't be afraid to be a great American. God bless you. Dennis, get home safe.